Hello and welcome to the Informed Decision Seminar. I am Sergeant Brooks, the career advisor for the base, and we're going to spend about an hour, hopefully no longer than an hour, going through this today. There are some expectations since this is on a video. I have to make sure that you watch the video. So watch the video, the whole video, and then take notes or screenshots or pictures or whatever you need as you're going through in case you have questions, and then you can email or call with the questions after you watch the video. I'm also going to ask 4 questions throughout the course. I need you to also email me with the answers to those 4 questions. They're personal questions, so just email me the answers and then I'll give you course credit and I'll stop emailing you to watch the video. This is what we're going to cover today. It is quite a bit of things. I'm going to spend most amount of time on our pay and entitlements, and then I'm just going to cover some other processes and benefits that we have as well. So why are we here? Because you have to be, of course. It's AFI mandated to ensure that you know all of the information and can make the best informed decision for you and your family about separation or re-enlisting. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you you should re-enlist. Sometimes it's not the best case for the individual. Some people have a really good job lined up. That's awesome. Go do you. Some people they're enrolled in school. They're going to go to school full time and use their GI Bill because that's what it's for, and they have a finance situation set up for that as well. Again, go do you. That's really cool. There are a lot of people that don't have those things set up, and they just think that it's going to be so much better. The grass is greener on the other side. It's such a cliche, I know. However, I feel like it was made for this seminar. I have a lot of friends who did get out and they didn't realize how expensive it was and how much benefits we actually get that are behind the scenes that you don't see on your LES. So we're going to go through some of those things today. So why do people stay? For a lot of the same reasons that people re-enlist. Maybe not the same reason for each person. For example, I joined because I didn't want to be in Wisconsin anymore. It's too cold up there. But I didn't stay because I didn't want to go back to Wisconsin. I stayed because I got to retrain. I liked my job. Eventually, I stayed for a reason that's not up here because I love our LEAVE program. My time is very important to me. So that is that's what hooked me at that 10-year point was the LEAVE program. So reflect back on yourself and why you joined, and then decide where are you right now. Is that still pertinent to what's going on in your life at the time, or maybe there's a totally different reason that you have to make this decision now too. So why do people leave? These are the most common reasons that I hear that people leave, and then talking to other senior leaders around the base. These are the most common reasons. The number one reason, try to take a guess. What do you think the number one reason up there is? Yes, it is. Usually people are like leadership. Okay, yes, leadership is the number one reason that people will leave, at least as far as people tell me. So if that's the case, I don't know if it's one person in your chain of command that you're having a clash of personality or something with. If you have a toxic leader, I don't know. Maybe it's your whole squadron leadership. Maybe not. If that's the case, though, if it is leadership that's driving you to pull the plug and leave, then I just challenge you, something that my dad told me when I was in a bad spat. Had my second base been my first, I would not have re-enlisted either because of those types of reasons. But he told me, he said, why are you giving other people control over your life? And that's really hit home for me. So I'm just going to tell you the same thing. If you're getting out or planning to get out, or you don't know if you're going to stay in because of people that you work with right now, that is a temporary situation. So think back on it and just try to make a long-term decision for you and your family based on what you need and not on what other people are telling you to do. All right, so the first question that I need you to email me the answer to is, are you planning to re-enlist, separate, and this should not say retire, I'm so sorry. Are you planning to re-enlist, separate, or re-enlist? Okay, sorry, re-enlist, separate, or are you undecided? That's what so forget retire, my bad. Are you planning to re-enlist, separate, or are you undecided? Okay, so just really quick about our VA benefits. These are everything that's covered under VA benefits and that our VA benefits advisors on the base can actually help you with and discuss with you and try to figure out what the best way forward is for you and your family. And you can contact them by going to, they're in the MPS building. If you go in to the DEERS office, but it's the very first little hallway to the left, and then Mr. Joe is in the first office right there. Also, VAbenefits.gov. VA.gov is the #1 website. They're actually getting rid of a lot of the other ones. They're going to all go to this VA.gov, and then you'll get to all the other sites from that one. It's like the parent site. All right. Also, the Transition Assistance Program, TAP, or TAPS, as you commonly hear. So this is also another mandatory program, but it's congressionally mandated. So every single service has to do something to assist you on your transition from the military into the civilian sector. It is required that you attend pre-separation a year out from your separation date. It is a very long time, so even if you're undecided, you should just go start this process just in case. If you go to TAP or go to your pre-sep and also TAP or don't do TAP, it doesn't lock you into a decision. So you can go to TAP and then still re-enlist. Everything is perfectly fine. But should you decide that you're gonna get out, you're set up for success at that point. You're not scrambling around trying to get into TAP at the last minute. They do have usually about a 3-month backlog. So you wanna call in advance and plan accordingly. So this is what it's gonna cover. You do the initial counseling and the precept together in the same day, at least a year prior. And then the actual workshop is 3 to 5 days. It just depends on what you wanna do. So there are different tracks that you can do. So that in the first 3 mandatory days, there's a whole day about transitioning, and then you get a whole day with that VA benefits advisor, and then a whole day with the Department of Labor. And they go through like interviewing processes and resumes and where do you find wage information and things like that. The additional tracks that you can do, these are all 2 days each. So you can do multiple ones, or you can just do one. So there's one just about education. If you're gonna go to school full time, if you're gonna go to a vocational school to go learn a trade skill, if you're just gonna start working, and then also if you plan to own your own business, there's one for entrepreneurship. So those are the different options. So there's 3 mandatory days and then the 2 days that are optional depending on what your plans are. All right, so this is what the whole process will look like a year out. Hope you understand. So a year out, that's gonna be the majority of the people watching this video. You're in that window right now, but like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna get out? Am I gonna stay in? If you are undecided or you were planning to separate, you need to call Airmen and Family Readiness as soon as we're done with this video and schedule yourself for TAP if you haven't already done that. All right, so this is the information about their team. So just call 8400 and then that'll set you up. They'll get you scheduled for everything that you need to. All right, also, a lot of people get out either early during using College Chase, or they just flow into the Reserve or Guard that work on the base. So they're full-time Guard or Reserve, and their job is just to help you transition into the Guard or the Reserve after active duty. They're not coaching the active duty enlisted or anything like that. Active duty, it's for people who are already planning to get out. They're there for you to help you get into the Guard or Reserve. So they'll be able to go over, so this is the Guard, I hope you got that one, and then this is the Reserve. But they'll be able to go over the benefits that you would still retain. How do you figure out what base or what location you can go to? Does it matter by state? What if I'm married to active duty and we go overseas? How does that work? So those are all the different questions that they'll be able to answer for you. So again, here's the Guard. It's Master Sergeant Randall. And then this is the Reserve, it's Sergeant Gibson and Sergeant Frasca. So they're all located over in one of the buildings that are right next to the BX, between the MSG complex and the BX. You'll see the Reserve signs outside of the window or outside of the building. It's the one that does not have the red cross in it, it's the other one. All right, so here's my second question. When are separating personnel required to attend precept with the Airmen and Family Readiness Center? And if you are planning to separate or are undecided, have you been signed up for or have you already attended TAP? I need to know the answers to those questions. All right, so now it's my turn. I'm going to get into the full pay and entitlements, the meat and potatoes of this briefing. All right, I'm going to take you through a journey of our compensation package, is what I like to call it. It's pay and benefits, pay and entitlements, whatever, but it's actually our compensation package. If you had seen this in a civilian business, that's what they would show you. They'd say, okay, well, here's the wages, but here's everything that we're going to give you with that. So first, I'm just going to show you the wages portion of it. And I know everybody that's watching this should be at least an A1C, if not a senior airman, sometimes tech sergeant, first term airman even. But those of you that are second termers, there's going to be some master sergeants in there as well. So just keep in mind, if you're in the lower ranks, I'm just going to show you what it would look like should you stay in. And I'm not using myself as an example on the slides. I actually pulled this off of, it's online. Our pay and benefits are online. So, all right, so senior airman, again, everyone that's attending should be close to about 3 years or more in. So You shouldn't be in the dorms anymore. If you are, then I don't know. So senior room at 4 years. So you're getting BAH and you're getting BAS, and you're not in the dorms anymore. All right. So this is without dependent rate BAH and BAS, and then with dependent rate. That's what I want you to look at. Remember when we joined as enlisted, we came into an entry-level position, right? We did not require any college. If you came in with a degree or close to a degree or any college, that's awesome. It was not required. All we needed was a high school diploma or a GED and a not even stellar criminal record, all right? So you could even have some things on your record and still get in and not have a high school diploma, but a GED. All right, so again, entry-level position. But after even just 4 years in, you can be making over $50,000, all right? And that's including just our base pay and then our BAH and our BAS. So $50,000, that's not counting all of those other things that I'm gonna cover here in a little bit. All right, now if you're married to a civilian or if you have or have kids, now you're gonna be getting the dependent rate, okay? So if whichever one is you, that's what you're follow on this one. So staff sergeant, 8 years in, you can make staff sergeant by 8 years. It's doable. All right. I made staff sergeant my first time. It was during the Great Staff Giveaway of 2000s. However, even if it had been later, so even if they do increase the time in service for staff sergeants to 6 years as the preliminary discussions, then you'll still be able to be a staff sergeant by 8 years, right? Because you'll be 6 years. All right. So now we're looking at after 8 years in, an 8-year staff sergeant at Barksdale is making almost $60,000. All right, if not already $60,000. So let's move up to tech sergeant at 12 years. This is where it starts to get awesome. All right, this is only 12 years in the organization. All right, I have some people who worked at McDonald's for 12 years. You can do this. So you're already getting almost $70,000, if not over. All right, and then a master sergeant, a lot more responsibility. I know comes with each of these ranks. That's why they're paying you more accordingly. All right. So master sergeant, and we're getting more into the management. Over 75,000, if not over 80. Okay, and that's not even 20. That's a 16-year master sergeant. So now we're getting into the seniors. This is 22. I have not been in for 22 years. This is not by me, but it's not enough to argue over. Again, I got this from online. So a senior master sergeant is now getting $90,000. This is after 22 years with the organization, if not $93,000. All right, by this point, you're probably going to be adulting, so start looking. I mean, if not back at the tech sergeant, right? 12 years in, you're going to probably be adulting, so start looking at the dependent rate, even if you don't get that right now. All right, so over $90,000 as 22-year senior. All right, now a 26-year chief. Look at that. That's crazy. Again, a lot of responsibility comes with each of those ranks, so I feel like they deserve it. All right, so much weight is levied on the shoulders of chief that I feel like that's terrible to what they should be doing. But this isn't even a 30-year chief. Just want to keep that in mind. So after 26 years in the organization, if you do progress, and this is a very doable scenario, I picked years from the timeline based on if you didn't make it the first time for everything. It's just a very doable scenario. So you can do this. If I can do this, I promise you can do this. All right, so this is the other stuff I was talking about that isn't covered in that money, except for the asterisk things. Yes, BAS and BAH were included in there, all right? But everything else is not. So again, the LEAP program is the #1 reason that I stayed in at my 10-year point. There are other factors, of course, but that was what really did it for me. I love having days off. Nothing compares to it. I've done a lot of research because I was trying to decide if I wanted to stay in or not, and I couldn't do it. 2 years after being with an organization for 2 years, you might get a week off. I'm like, what? No, that's not. I'm not okay with that. So, but we do get it. Convalescent leave is our sick leave. Basically, we have an unlimited supply of sick days. All right, I can think of my parents get like 1 week off a year for sick leave, but that counts with all of their appointments. If they have to take the dog to the vet, or if they had to take a kid to an appointment, if a kid was sick, that counts in sick leave for civilian in the civilian sector. However, for us, like that's kind of a mandatory appointment, taking kids to the doctor and things like that. So we don't charge you for those things. And then primary and secondary caregiver leave is actually our maternity and paternity leave program. So remember, we get 42 days now. It's pretty awesome. The worst day of my life was dropping my oldest off when he was 6 weeks old. So my first kid at 6 weeks old at the daycare. I did not plan accordingly, so I didn't really have any extra leave. yeah, that was a really hard day. So this last time with my third kid, I got 42 days, and it was pretty awesome. I was totally ready to come back to work at that time. But you can take leave on top of that if you want to as well. Guys, you get 21 days now. Totally believe it should be equal, but it's at least a step in the right direction. You had 0 for like, what, 70 years, and then you had 10 days for a couple of years there. And then finally, cool, now you're getting something, and you can take leave on top of that. And you don't have to take that right away. So if something, God forbid, if something comes up and like the baby's in the NICU, or if you're deployed, which would suck, but if you were, you don't have to take it right away. You can take it anytime within the first year of the child's birth. What else? Then there are SRBs, of course. It's actually a selective retention bonus now since we started the NCO reenlistment. And then our clothing allowance, it's pretty nice. I like it. Every year, it doesn't even matter if you get your stuff issued to you, you still get your clothing allowance. Right now, as we phase into the OCPs, it's about $550. That was a nice, I was able to buy 2 uniforms, boots, all the shirts, everything that I needed with that money. And then, but some of you don't even need to buy boots or anything because you're going to get those things issued, but you still get the money. A normal clothing allowance is right around $428. There's like $1 difference between men and women for whatever reason. TDY and PCS expenses. If you haven't PCS'd or gone TDY, then just know that with your government travel card, that is what gets you, like you use that for everything while you're traveling. So when I moved here from Langley Air Force Base, which is where it was before, like I used that for gas, lodging. They even paid for the pet, the extra $10 for the pet fee or whatever at the hotel. And then it paid for TLF when we got here for a few days and things like that too. It was very cool. Same thing with TDY. When you go somewhere, you take that, you get extra food allowance. It might only be like $4 a day, but it's on top of your BAS, all right? But it depends. Sometimes it could be up to like $65 a day. It just depends on where you're going and where you're staying. And then permissive TDY, it's a TDY, but it's basically leave without having to take leave. So there has to be a specific reason. There's a whole chart in the AFI of what the reasons are that you can. Recruiter's assistance is the one that most people are familiar with. That was a permissive TDY. So you went home, you worked with your recruiter, you didn't have to take leave for that. If you go run the Air Force Marathon or 10K or half or 5K or something, or go volunteer at it, that's actually in the AFI. It's an Air Force condoned sporting event, so you can go do that on a permissive TDY. So that means that it's leave, so that means without taking leave, it means you have to pay for your travel and lodging while you're gone. Dislocation allowance, if you're separated from, as you're PCSing, you get at least like $1,500 just for moving. It's expensive to move, but it could be more. It just depends on your rank and where you're going and where you're coming from. There's a lot of factors, but if you just have to request it. You can request it in advance to get advanced DLA as well, so that there's not the out-of-pocket costs aren't there. It's really expensive to move. Think like first and last month's rent, utility deposits, shampooing for your carpets, and if you have a dog, the 5 times the amount, shampooing for the carpets. All that stuff just costs a lot. So you could get advanced dislocation allowance and use that to help with all of that. And then COLA and utility allowances. So if you go overseas, you get a cost of living allowance. It is expensive to live overseas. So you'll use that COLA, absolutely. And then at least where I was, in Italy, you get a utility allowance as well. I think that's for most places overseas. But utility allowance helps pay because some of the utilities are just outrageously high as well. So it helps pay for those things. I actually didn't even really use my utility allowance because I had a really small place. So it didn't cost much to heat or cool or anything. And we didn't have air conditioners. So I was able to I just kind of pocketed that money. Do-it-yourself moves, you can actually, instead of having somebody else come in and move you, you can pack everything up and ship it yourself, and they'll pay you as though you were the shipping company. So I have a friend that's what he's done every time he's moved, and he said he makes at least $4,000 every time that he does it. For me, no, I rather would have somebody come in, pack up the house, because it just sounds like a lot of work, and my back would not be able to handle that. So yes, I will have the shipping company will come in and they'll pack everything up. All I have to do is take the pictures off the wall and the curtains down, and they'll put everything in boxes, and then they'll put it on the truck, and then it'll beat me when I get to my destination. pretty cool. But I still get the PCS expenses. They still pay for me to get to the next place, but I don't get that extra money for my belongings. That family separation pay, if you're away from your family for longer than 30 days, you get $250 per 30 days. So if you're gone for like 6 weeks, they will prorate those last 2 weeks. It's like, it comes out to like $888 a day or something like that. So you will get $250 for every 30 days, and then they'll prorate a daily amount for every day after that. So if you go to like NCO Academy, that counts, that's over 6 weeks, or that's over 30 days. So a lot of you were deployed last year or this year, or you were TDY twice or whatever. If you were gone for longer than 30 days, you should be getting this for every 30 days. This also counts for PCS. My husband was in Korea for the year before we came here. So he got the $250 for every month that he was in Korea, separated from the family. Additionally, we get 100% tuition assistance. That's a lot of money. And then 100% medical coverage, which I'm going to cover just a little bit. And then it depends on what you opted into as far as retirement goes, but you could get 40 or 50% to 75%. It depends on, there are a lot of factors in that. So starting with that, are you on high 3 or blended retirement? A lot of people I'm finding did not opt in to the blended retirement, and I don't know why. I really can't figure out the reason. I think it might be miscommunication of what it was. A lot of people didn't realize that you actually get something right when you retire. There was this belief that you have to wait until retirement age to get anything, and that is untrue. So a lot of people didn't opt into the blended, and that's unfortunate, because a lot of you are sitting here watching this, and you're probably planning on separating, and you're not going to get anything when you retire or when you get out, because you didn't opt into the blended. All right, so high 3, how does it work? At 20, you can get, it's 50%. So at 20, you'll get 50% of the high 3. So it's called high 3 because they take the last 3 years of your service, and they average out your income based on rank. So like if I retired this year at 20, I would get 2 years as a senior and 1 year as a master, and that's how they would average out what that is. And that would be my 50% of that would be my retirement. But for every year I stay in after 20, it's 2.5% higher. So if I retire at 30, I would get 75%. All right, got it. So blended, it works the same. That works the same way, except at 20, it's 40%. So which means that at 30, it would be 65% instead of 75. However, they start matching these things, and then if you can contribute the most amount as soon as you can, and just keep contributing the most that you can, eventually you'll be at that 5%. They're gonna match you, all right? And then you're actually going to, that'll go in there. You're going to be getting interest on that other 10% that we won't be, because we're getting 50%. So in the long run, like the very long run, people who did this from the beginning will actually get more in the blended retirement than we do on the high 3. Of course, that does matter on rank and all those things like that too. All right. So some things that'll just help you figure out what are you going to do for money. Where do you look? Just one place to start is onetonline.org. This is an awesome website. It's onetonline. That's how you say that. Right here, Onet Online. So if you go to the crosswalk section down here and hit connect, and you can type in your AFSC. I use the crew chief here, and you just pick the first 3 or whatever. So crew chief, I mean, I know this is 285. There's a lot of 285s, right? But this is a crew chief, for example, does a little bit of everything, right? So just look through each of these things. And so for this example, this is the bomber craftsman. So it'll tell you the tasks that they do in civilian terminology, right? Where is that helpful? Right, where? On a resume, of course. So this is a great place to put down what you do in civilian terminology on a resume, because we do not speak civilian and they do not speak our military jargon. We just don't have the same language. But if you scroll all the way down on that page, it'll actually show you related occupations as well. So I like to use ammo as an example, the 2WOs, because they build bombs, right? There's usually one in the crowd when I do this in a seminar setting. So what would somebody who builds bombs do when they get out with that background and experience. And you can't say a GIS employer or contractor with the government that's cheating. I mean, like, what would they really do with it? All right, well, they don't just build bombs. So if you came in here, you would also see supply chain management because they're also shipping those bombs all over the world. You would see warehouse management because they're storing them as well. You would see accountability and all the other things that they do besides just the building of the bombs. So this is a really good place to go and find, just to start and figure out, like, oh, well, what does my job equate to on the outside? Another thing, this is the military to civilian comparison of our support services that we have. I really like to point out the relocation pay. So places will, 34%, businesses will pay for you to move a lot of times because it's a huge incentive to get you to move. However, family travel expenses is only at 2%. So it's cool, they want you to move and they'll pay for you to do that, but your family is on your own dime. All right, we do not do that. If you get an assignment to Germany, we pay you to get the whole family there. Everybody gets a plane ticket, and then you also get weight allowance for all of your family, your household goods based on the number of family members, the age of your children, and everything like that. So yes, definitely care about your family members. Tuition assistance, 56% actually do provide tuition assistance. But there isn't any way, I couldn't figure out how much tuition assistance. It's just that they did provide something. Paid maternity leave is only 34%. Paternity leave is at 30%. That has gone up a lot, by the way. It was like 1% when I looked at this a couple years ago. And then you can just look at all of that stuff. So yeah, this is the support services and other things that we provide, and the percentage of civilian organizations that do as well. All right, so my third question is, which retirement system are you enrolled in? Just tell me which one. I'm just trying to do like a survey. And then since you're gonna tell me if you're planning to re-enlist, separate, or undecided, I'm just gonna compare them. That's really what I'm doing. And then, I don't know, if you have questions about things, you can always ask me about this. All right, just really quickly about our medical benefits. So I know that you know that it's expensive to get hurt, right? I have three kids. The last one was born almost 2 years ago, and I did look at that paper that you get in the mail. Says this is not a bill, but it looks like a bill. But it says this is not a bill, so you stop panicking. And it was about $15,000, and that was just for labor and delivery. And I was only there for like 2 days, maybe. It wasn't even a full 2 days. So that was just for labor and delivery, and the first portion of the infant care. So this is the U.S. average across the nation. This is the average for the whole process. So from the moment you find out that you're having a baby to the baby's born and the initial infant care, this is the cost for that. So I was a little surprised. I thought that was crazy. Now imagine having twins. Yay! So you've planned it out. You've saved up over $22,000 and everything, and they're like, oh, surprise, you're having twins. Or I have a friend who just had triplets. Yes, I am following him on Facebook because that's amazing. But it's crazy to think about the costs associated with things like that. And then this is with no complications. I also have a friend who had a baby last June who was born at 23 weeks. If you didn't know, they're supposed to incubate for 40. So the baby was 1 pound 3 ounces. It's so small. He's doing great, or I wouldn't talk about him. But he's had open heart surgery. He's had eye surgery a couple times. They actually flew him to another hospital, and his mother has been there with him for a while now. He's been in the NICU since June. All right, so it's April, right? So just figure out how many months that is. So he's been telling me how much he's been keeping track of how much this is costing, and he said it's close to like over $3 million at this point. I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. And he hasn't had to pay anything, and his child is getting immaculate care with really great hospitals and doctors. So that's cool. So there are days that I absolutely hate TRICARE because like the provider I want for my kids or something isn't in the network. But then there are days that you get that this is not a bill, but it looks like a bill, or you hear a story about a friend who went through something, but they didn't have to pay for anything like that. I'm very, very, very thankful for our TRICARE at that point. So. All right, so this is I just went to Blue Cross Blue Shield for Louisiana, and I put in some scenarios, and this is what I got. So this is based on an 18-year-old male, non-smoker, single. This is what he would be paying. So he's going to put $330 to that insurance. company monthly. And then he also has to have $4,500 saved up for the year. And he's going to start paying that as a copay every time he goes to the doctor. So, but that's yeah. And then this is what his copay is down here, 30%. So every time he goes to the doctor, he has to pay 30% as a copay. All right, so now he's grown up, he's adulting, 35. He has a 35-year-old spouse. They have 2 kids, 3 and 5. Everyone's healthy, no pre-existing conditions. Now he's paying $1,000 a month. And then the out of pocket, that was going to be 30%. That's a lot of money, though. So, like, I have a daughter, my daughter has gone to the doctor. It's April, so 4 months, so probably like about 6 times already this year, all right, just for various things. She's a daycare kid, so she gets all the daycare cooties. They're like, yeah, the daycare cooties. So she goes to the doctor a lot. But she's healthy, everything's good to go, but I don't have to pay that 30%, and I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, great. Local services, so these are things that we have on base, and almost every base, at least stateside, has these. Even overseas, they won't have a gun range, so they won't have the skeet trap range because you're not supposed to have guns overseas, right? But everything else that's up here, they do. Even with my tiny little army post that I was at Camp Derby, Italy, very small, there was only like 200 active duty Army and Air Force there in total. But we still had everything up here except for that skeet trap range. It was pretty awesome. Yep. So Air Failure Randomness, if you weren't aware, they do so much for the community. They put on events. They do things for exceptional family member program for deployed personnel, for the deployed families, and then TAP, and then just everything in between. So the education office is there. Of course, they help you with testing, Dante's Clap, whatever. Or if you have tests for your college, or if through CDCs, and of course tuition assistance and other educational questions. What else is here? Fitness center, we basically have a global gym membership. I've been to so many gyms, just like if I was TDY somewhere, or if we use the fam camps that's up here too. It's expensive to travel, so we bought a camper, and now we just kind of, when we do travel, we go from base to base, and it's $20 a night for full hookups. It's pretty awesome. And then we can use the gym while we're there if we want to. Additional things. So the commissary, I did fact check this. I saved 29% at the commissary compared to Kroger. That's where I usually go because it's closer to my house. But I checked it, and I did actually save. I was kind of surprised. But then the BX is tax-free, so I buy my I use it all the time, but I also make sure we buy our high-dollar purchases from there because it's tax-free. They price match, and they will. You can order online if they don't have it in the store, and they'll ship it to the store for free, just like Walmart and a lot of other. The Shop Bag Class 6 is also there, and that's tax-free too. I even watched a guy price match wine and Doritos one day. That was interesting. So I was watching him, and I'm like, he's doing it. Yep, there he goes. That's awesome. Good for you, Nick. It's based on your family income. So of course, my husband and I, we're both seniors, so we're in the highest bracket. So we're paying the highest amount of money for that, and that's fine because it's still only like, I think I'm guessing it's about $135 a week for my child to go there, but that's very equitable to off base. It's about the same amount that we would be paying off base. But in Virginia, we were paying $240 a week for off base. Everybody was. A1Cs, it doesn't matter. Like, they don't care off base what your family income is. This is the price for your kid to get to care here. This is the price you're going to pay. So $420 a week off base there, and then I came here and it was $120 or $135, and I'm like, yes, this is awesome. But like an airman who comes in, there was one that was an FTAC recently so single family income, and she was the one striper. So she was paying, I think she said like $60 a week. So I'm like, that's awesome. So I'll pay $125. I completely am okay with that, so that she doesn't have to. But off base, she would be paying the $120 to $135 because again, they don't consider your family income in that cost. Space age travel, if you've ever heard of taking a hop, it's pretty awesome. I don't know if anyone has taken one. It's pretty amazing. So as long as this is the website, so you just go to amc.af.mil and you'll be able to navigate to this. But so these are all the terminals in the States. The closest one to us is Little Rock. You can go to Little Rock, and then they all have a Facebook page as well, and they keep that thing updated, and it tells you what flights they have, where they're going, if there's any seats available, if there's a cost associated. Most of the time it's zero cost. And then if, like I said, if there's a waiting list as well. You do have to be on leave to get onto the waiting list. However, there's ways to work with that too. So the last January had rained from like October to March, so then I got really sick of the rain. So I looked up how much it would cost for us to get to Hawaii. So we could have gone to Little Rock, gotten a hop to Washington State, and then from Washington State, from McChord Air Force Base to Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii, it was going to cost my family of five $12. Yes, that was pretty awesome. We didn't go, but we could have for $12. Yeah. Okay. So just a couple of things on personnel programs, and then we are done. All right. So just to go through CJR and retraining and VOPs and things like that. So CJR is it's an automatic process now. When you get to a certain month before your date of separation is up, just based on your records, if you don't have if you haven't gotten in a lot of trouble, right? So if you're not in a control roster or anything like that, then it's an automatic process. Or if you're not medically removed, selective reenlistment program, same thing. CJR is part of the selective reenlistment program. So if you are in there and you're at that month and it says that you have not been selected or you don't have a CJR or not selected in our SRP, call reenlistments and extensions, and then depending on the situation, they'll help you figure out why you didn't get one. And if it was an error, they'll apply for one for you. Or if your control roster went away, or whatever the situation was, resolved itself, and now you're still in, right? Because you haven't separated, they'll apply for one for you at that point. All right, so that month is here. It's the same time that your retraining and your basic preference window is open. So the easiest way to calculate this is for your 4-year enlistees, it starts the month prior to your 3-year point, and for 6-year enlistees, it's the month prior to your 5-year point. And that starts on the first month or first day of that month. So if you came in April 22nd, it's going to start 1 March, right? And then that is, like I said, so the CJR is supposed to automatically go into effect when you hit that month. Just give it a couple days. I get a lot of calls on the first day at like 9 in the morning. I'm like, can you just give the system a chance to update? That'd be great. All right. So for retraining, so this is the month. So it's the month prior to your 3 or 5-year point, and then the retraining window is open for 8 months. If you cannot apply for retraining within that 8 months for reasons within your control, such as you're deployed, you have an excessive amount of TDYs, you were medically coded somehow, pregnancy counts as a medical code, or if you were going through MEB, fill in the blank with anything that is not within your control. If you have an assignment, you're not eligible for retraining, that's not within your control. So those are reasons that you can apply outside of your window, and you don't even need an exception to policy. Just 45 days after that situation goes away, so 45 days after your MEB results come out and you're staying in, or after your medical code falls off, or what have you, 45 days, you can apply as long as you do it within that time frame. If you are applying out of cycle because of something within your control, such as you were coded like on an admin hold, or like, for example, on a control roster, or if you didn't know what you wanted to do, or you were planning on separating, or if you didn't know when your window was. Those are all reasons within your control. So now you can still apply on the shortfall list. If you're not on the shortfall, it doesn't even apply to you, just forget about it. But the retraining advisory is the go-to list of retraining information, because it changes too often, and I don't want you to get the wrong information, and they will unknowingly give you wrong information. So instead, say where do I find the information, and the answer is almost always going to be MIPERS. Correct. So the AFI is a leading hyperlink you write down there. If you're a 2A, there's a whole letter up here stating that first-term airmen 2As can retrain. There's no limitations, but it also says for a second-term and career airmen, you're limited to retraining into 2As or battlefield airmen. So those are the options there. But that shortfall list is right here, like I was talking about. If you don't know what you want to do, we have a lot of AF, including strength, we have about 800 AFSCs in the Air Force. So this work interest navigator down there. That is a great tool. It's just a survey, and then based on your responses, it'll give you a list of jobs you might be interested in. It's a work interest navigator. But this the online retraining advisory is that collated list of AFSCs that are available. But I first want to show you the apply for retraining. This is where you actually apply, and it'll take you through a 4-step process. So just follow the 4 steps, and it'll show you the advisory, the AFI, then list the classification directory, and it tells you exactly what to do in there. It's very cool. So this is an example working document on micros. It updates as the numbers change. All right, so this is what it would look like. You can pick up to 5 jobs. Just maximize your opportunity. All right, basic preference for first termers. It is in that same 8-month window. If you want to BOP and retrain, do the retrain first because you're not eligible for retraining, like I said, if you have an assignment. So it is very important that you do the retraining first. You do get a BOP with your retrain. I rarely see those not approved, but it doesn't matter about, and also for first termers, they don't take into account your manning at your current location. There has to be an open authorization for you at the gaining location, but the current location, the manning doesn't matter. You do have to have that approved CJR, like I was talking about, and you only have to have 12 months time on station. So if you came here from another base, not through a BOP, then after being here for only 12 months, you can go ahead, actually 8 months, you can go ahead and apply again and be gone in 12 months. For everyone else though, you do, so for second term and career airmen, you do require, the time and station requirements is 4 years for stateside. So that means 4 years to do a BOP because BOPs are only for stateside bases. You cannot BOP overseas. I wish you could, but that's not the way that works. You use the overseas listing for that. All right, so as you're updating your dream sheets or filling out those BOPs, your dream sheets can have a whole state. You could just put Florida down instead of putting like 5 different bases. You can just put the state down. But be careful. Make sure, so you just put Texas. Well, there's a lot more in Texas than just San Antonio. So unless you are okay with going to Goodfellow or Shepherd or Dias as well, then I would suggest that you put the bases in San Antonio. All right, but if that's not the case, if you just want to go to Texas, then just put Texas down. You don't have to list everything. So you're doing that, you can list up to 8 states, 8 countries on your dream sheet, right? But on a BOP, it's only stateside and you have to put specific bases. So I put everybody wants to go to Florida. All right, and that is because, so using pre-Tyndall, I'm waiting for more current information to come out, but in 2018, before, like in June of 2018, there were 6,600 staff sergeant positions, authorizations in Florida. That's all bases, all AFSCs, 6,600. So just try to think of a number right now. How many volunteers do you think there were? 24,000 staff sergeant volunteers for Florida. That is insane. All right, I'm not saying you can't go to Florida. I'm just using it as an example about everybody wants to. So if that's it, like that's the only place you want to go, then fine, try to BOP there. But if your goal is to leave the location that you're at, try to think less coastline and more middle. There are some really, really awesome bases in the middle of the U.S. Offutt Air Force Base was my first location. I'm from Wisconsin. I did not want to go to Nebraska. That was an amazing experience. In fact, I had it on my dream sheet after that for quite a while. I can't go there anymore, but I would in a heartbeat if the opportunity came up. It was such an awesome base. And it was 12 hours from like everything. So I could go to Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, or Salt Lake City, 12 hours. So it was pretty awesome. Anyway, just an example. So the bonuses, it did go down quite a bit. Just keep an eye on that. I've never gotten a bonus, but some people, this is the hit or miss. Like this is the reason they're going to stay in or get out. But the SRB listing can be found on MyPay, or MyPers. And then you can go in there and it'll give you like a column. It'll show you in the AFI or the listing, the rank, not the rank, the term of service. It goes off term of service. So for zone A, it's up to 6 years time in service. So if that's you, then you'd find your AFSC in that rank, and then whatever the number in there, that's called the SRB multiple. So in this example, this is a senior airman that's been in for 4 years, we're enlisting for 6, and they have a multiple of 6. That's actually kind of high. But EODs is at like a 7 right now, if you're interested. And then They're getting where they want to come, like that there's a lot of them, and then where to find them. So this is the developmental special duty process. This is based on known quotas. So we know how many TIs we need, and we know when they're going to leave. So we can project for how many we're going to need every 6 months. So that's what we do, is we do this developmental special duty process, kicks off every April and October. And it's basically, you have to be vetted through your chain of command. So that's how we get our people for all of these positions, is through the chain of command. First sergeants can volunteer now instead of going that way, but they still have to be selected through the chain of command anyway. So they're going to be vetted at the wing before they're just pushed up to be a first sergeant. But it stops people from getting pushed into a first sergeant that doesn't want to be a first sergeant. So that's pretty awesome. And then, but all the other ones, these are going like I said, every 6 months. So if you want to be a recruiter, how do you do that? You let your leadership know that, hey, I want to be a recruiter, so that when you're eligible for it, they'll already know that. And when that list comes down and your name is on there, they can put, hey, he wants to be a recruiter. And then they already know. And if there's any other special duty position, and they're going to be hired as needed and through the wing. So you're not going to PCS. So I was hired on the station. I didn't move anywhere. The only time that you would ever PCS for one of these is if in your last year of that special duty, if you wanted to volunteer to go to a remote location. But if you're interested to find out the eligibility requirements for all those things, go to MyFirst, type in SPECAT, SPECAT, and it'll come right up. Or you can just MyFirst search for the specific AFSC. So these are the other ones that a lot of people aren't aware of. So these are the other 8 series special duties that are actually done through the assignment management system. It's called the Equal Plus listing. So you go to assignment management system, go to enlisted, and then find the equal assignments, and then the Equal Plus listing. And then you have to actually go look for like 8A2 and then all these other ones and find out, are they hiring for that position at this time? The one I like to use is Courier. That's on there quite often. It's usually for a staff sergeant or so. And then, I mean, sometimes I've seen different ones, but the most of them that I've seen is for Courier. There was one that was to Peterson Air Force Base, for example, for a staff sergeant. So whoever volunteered for that and was selected would PCS to Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs. And then that's where their hub is. So that's where they're going to be. Their dog is going to be their family, everything. And then they are going to travel all over the world carrying classified information. Pretty cool. And then what else? Defense Attaché has an indefinite advertisement on AMS in the Equal Plus listing. So that's for senior airmen through seniors. My best friend is actually doing that right now. She's down in Bolivia. So what happened? She volunteered for it. She was selected. There was a huge vetting process through half, but when she was selected, she PCS'd to Washington, D.C. for 7 months for training. Her civilian spouse attended training with her, because guess what? He went to Bolivia as well. But then last year, she actually finally got to Bolivia, and she's leading the Defense Attaché team there. So what is that? So every country that has an embassy, of course, has a U.S. ambassador. That ambassador has a team, a Defense Attaché team, that are his military advisors. So that's what they do. They just advise the U.S. ambassador in that country on military affairs. I knew one when I was at NCOA. There was my suite mate. She was one of the defense attachés in Bern, Switzerland. That's pretty cool. And then another guy was at Cairo, Egypt. The one in Switzerland was about to go to the Philippines. She somehow, I don't know how that worked out, but she went to the Philippines right after that. So read up on these, find out what they are. Then let the AFECD, do a MyFirst search for AFECD as well. And it'll tell you everything about all of the AFSCs, but the SPECAT has the eligibility requirements for these as well. All right, so another special duty opportunity. If your AFSC is shown in the box, then the Special Tactics Group actually would like for you to come work with the battlefield airmen, supporting them, but doing your job. They really need comm, and they really need vehicle maintenance and vehicle ops guys right now. So those are the 2 things that they're really pushing for at this time. Doesn't mean that they don't need the other ones as well, but those are like the main ones that they need. So you would go do that for 3 or more years, and then you'd be doing your job, but working and supporting the battlefield airmen. I know that their main place is in Pope Air Force Base, but that doesn't mean that you're going to go there. You might go there for training, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be stationed there. You do have to be a 7 level, and you have to kick butt at your job, so they want the best of the best. So if this is something you're interested in and you're not eligible quite yet, just keep that in mind for the future. All right. Last thing, OSI has a completely different retraining process. So they do everything internally, and it all starts with you contacting the local detachment, telling them that you're interested, and they will give you access to their enlisted recruiting portal. All right, and then that's where you're going to start uploading all the documents that are in blue here. It looks like a lot, but it's pretty standard information. So once they're doing that, they're going to at the same time probably be doing that minimum qualifications check. So if it's senior airmen through tech sergeants, less than 11 years time in service, but if you are a tech sergeant, you also can have no more than 1 year time in grade. Right? But it's senior airmen through. There's this thing out there that they prefer that you go through ALS already. It's not a requirement, so don't worry about it. If you have been through ALS, obviously it might give you that grant. Otherwise, they're going to scramble to get you through ALS, so don't worry. And then you do have to have at least 6 months left on your enlistment. So if you're going through the process, you're going to have to extend it because it's a really long process. Excuse me. Otherwise, so once you pass both of those stages, you're going to go through their pre-screening, and that's where the local detachment is going to just do like some interviews, do some psychological tests and things like that, and then you'll actually, after that, go into the full screening process. So it all starts with that phone call to the local detachment. They actually have a whole briefing, so if you tell them that you're interested, they'll probably have you come over and they'll go through the whole retraining briefing with you there. You can actually apply for retraining in the normal process, not get selected, and still apply for OSI. This is a totally different process. You do have to be eligible for retraining for OSI. So you have to be at that month, that 3 or 5 year point that I was talking about. You have to be at that point, but there's no expiration date. So there isn't an 8-month window. It's just you have to be eligible for retraining, and then cool, you can go on from there. All right, last question. What was your biggest takeaway from this briefing? All right, so that's the 4th question. If you don't remember them, you can rewind and go back and find out. But I need the 4 questions answered and sent to my email. So this is my SharePoint site. This is Total Force Development Council's SharePoint site. We refer to it as our Professional Development Center. This is the link. You'll see it down there for registering for events that we do. And then so much information is in here. All the templates that I have for retraining, for exception to policies, for BOPs. I have templates. They're all in here. Briefing slides, everything like that. And then we have the links over here. So again, event registration. Our course catalog has everything that we have to offer. So if there's anything that you ever wanted at your unit, we can come out and present that. And then also our Facebook page, and then down further, which you don't see, is the YouTube online video library. Anyway, so this is a good starting point as well for things, especially if I'm not in the office or if I'm on leave or something, it's all in here, all right? Okay, so like I said, for course credit, send an email to my email. If you'd rather send it to my personal, I don't care. I need to get the email from you. Include who you are, especially if you're sending it from your personal email account. I don't know who Jim809 is, all right? I need you to send me your name. And then, so rank and name, and then answer the 4 questions. And then if you have any questions, send that as well, or just give me a call. Right? If you'd rather call to give me the answer to the 4 questions than email me, again, it doesn't matter. And then, okay, so thank you. That is it. I really appreciate your time. Use the QR code to take a survey for me if you want to.